Well, hello and welcome. This is your host, D Foster. This is a show for you, my beautiful audience out there. And today we are going to be talking about healing it, and healing it is about shame today. So what is shame about? You know, if you're feeling a sense of guilt or remorse or self-criticism, sense of isolation, sense of anger, anger quite a bit here, maybe a sense of hopelessness, all of these symptoms may be caused from shame, right? So where does shame come from? Well, sometimes from well-meaning parents, sometimes from well-meaning school teachers, and sometimes from people that aren't so well-meaning, right? Sometimes it's from peers or people criticizing you. This day and age, a lot of people are shamed on the internet, unfortunately, right? And some of these social media platforms. But shame is a big issue because, listen, there's something called baseline stress out there. What's baseline stress? Baseline stress is an unconscious stress that people carry. And a lot of times you don't know why you're carrying that. You ever feel like something's just off, like things aren't just right? Maybe you're low energy. You're in a place that sometimes these baseline stresses can be caused from shame. So today we're going to address that issue. We're going to take a deep dive with my guest on the issues of shame and be able to maybe give you some relief from that. Let it go, right? And by the way, this show is for you. So if you've got a family member or friend or somebody that is going through the symptoms that we're going to describe today, I encourage you to send this show to them. That's how they will be able to see what's going on, that maybe they just don't know what's going on, right? All right, listen, I'm going to take a quick break. We get back, I'm going to have my guest, and we're going to take a deep dive in the subject of shame.
Do you suffer in pain? Are you stiff, tense, or less active than before? Introducing the EasyWell Remedy Massage System that combines the incredible effects of vibrational therapy, targeted deep tissue shiatsu massage, plus soothing infrared heat. A triple fusion of therapeutic experiences. Full body vibrational therapy increases blood circulation and reduces inflammation. Look at these beads moving from the powerful vibrational motors.
It's like 1,000 little fingers just vibrating my body from head to toe.
Infrared heat penetrates deep to reduce pain, soothe, and relax.
Remedy gets in there and helps deal with the source of the pain, so you feel much better.
The Ultra Shiatsu pillow with 6 infrared heated nodes mimics a professional massage. Plus, it's detachable for deep relief anywhere you need it.
It's just something that you're gonna have to feel for yourself.
Experience the true remedy for your pain and stiffness. Call now.
If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to tell you what your case is potentially worth. Hello, I'm Gina, along with spokesperson Rob. Rob, tell the folks at home who should be calling right now.
Well, just like you said, Gina, anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, give us a call right now, and we're going to let you know what your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Rob. So what kind of calls have we been seeing today?
Well, Gina, we're getting calls from all types of accidents today. Work accidents, slip and falls, truck accidents, and most commonly, car accidents. So if you were injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, take that first step, pick up that phone and give us a call. We're going to answer your questions and we'll let you know how much money you can get for your accident.
Thanks, Rob. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Go ahead, don't hesitate, take that first step and call now.
Call 800-455-2790.
Have you ever felt leg pain, restlessness, cramps, tingling, swelling, numbness, itchiness, or coldness? Then you need the new, clinically proven Legzercise Pro, the natural circulation booster that uses continuous automatic leg movement to soothe pain and promote healthy circulation the natural drug-free way.
After using Legzercise for a week, I felt like I wanted to go for a walk again without pain like I used to.
Legzercise Pro's patented walking simulator propulsion technology moves your feet back and forth along its concave track, creating constant movement and flex at both the knee and ankle joints. It's like having a physical therapist right in your own home.
It's helped with the swelling and the pain. The tingling feeling is gone.
Call right now and order your very own Legzercise Pro, the clinically proven automatic leg mover that soothes pain and naturally promotes healthy circulation. Call now.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Ken D Foster. I have a very special guest, Abbie Marono. Abbie, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
You know, this is a big subject, shame. Yeah, I can hardly wait to take a deep dive with you. But before I do, let me introduce you formally to my audience out there. Dr. Abbie Marono is a PhD. She's both a scientist and practitioner in the field of human behavior. After completing her PhD in psychology and behavioral analysis, she became a professor of psychology at academic institutions by the age of 23. In 2022, the U.S. Department of State awarded her the 01 visa for extraordinary abilities in science, recognizing her as being in the top 1% of her field internationally. She currently serves as a director of education at Social Engineer and co-hosts the Social Engineer podcast and so much more. Abbie, it's great to have you. Okay. You got this book out. We're going to talk about that in a second, but I want to ask you what motivated you or inspired you to get into this particular field that we're going to talk about today, shame, that area.
Well, I had gone through a lot of my own difficulties early in life, and I was sabotaging my future, and I had managed to get myself through a lot of really difficult things, and I was in a much better place, but I still felt this internal fear, and my career started to take off, and what I was finding is I was purposefully subduing my career because I didn't want people to find me. I thought that if I was visible, people will see my past and they could use it against me, and I was going to sleep every night terrified. And I removed all of my social media. I tried to make myself invisible. And then I had opportunities that required me to be on media. And it was just this fear was overwhelming. And I couldn't understand it. And I couldn't understand my own behavior. So I had turned to a lot of the self-help books. And it was the same thing when I was trying to heal through different traumas. And they weren't helpful because they were really well-meaning, but they weren't really based in the science of how human beings actually work. So I was just left with this moment of, okay, well, this is great, really helpful, but it wasn't long-lasting and ended up back, right where I started. So I turned to the literature to try and figure out what I was thinking, what I was feeling, what I was doing. And through the academic research, I really got myself to a better place. And that's when I decided that I wanted to write a book that was about the science of emotions and really focused on shame and empowerment because there are so many misunderstandings. And when I was out there seeking information, I was a scientist, so I had that level up of understanding a little bit more of critical thinking when I was getting the information in. And again, it was so well-meaning, but if you give that information for people that are seeking it, they're going to utilize it. And what happens is, rubbish in, rubbish out. They're going to be doing their best to heal and try, but the information itself isn't going to be helpful. So I really felt that I had this need as an educator to create a book that was scientific, but could be digested by anybody.
Wow. Okay. I can hardly wait to take a deep dive in the book. There's millions of people that suffer with the symptoms of shame. And, some of the symptoms I'm familiar with, like you just said, there's a tension or maybe a shutdown. There's fatigue. Things, there's even things like digestive issues and things of that nature that are all a result from this emotional, upset that hasn't been healed, right? So, and the science around that, this is going to be fascinating. Well, all right, I'm going to put Abbie has a new book out. It's called Work in Progress by Dr. Abbie Marono. Is that right, Abbie?
If you say it in English, Marono, in Spanish, Maroño.
Maroño. Oh, that makes it easier. Okay. Everyone. So what is what your own journey of healing and the science wasn't out there? What are people going to walk away when they read Work in Progress?
Well, the main thing is we have this idea that shame is bad. Like the first thing we do is talk about how do we get rid of shame. And actually, that's completely misguided because shame is considered to be the opposite of empowerment. To be empowered is to be shame-free, right? And actually, that's not the case. Shame is actually synonymous with empowerment, shame acceptance. Because when we think about the way human emotions work, human emotions are signals. They're evolutionarily developed signals that tell us important information about our surroundings, our interactions. And our brain is way too busy to be sending signals for no reason. Takes up 20% of our energy, yet it weighs 2% of our body mass. The brain is such an energy-hungry organ. The reason that we have emotions are because they're sending signals to tell us that important information. The thing that shame is telling us is shame is saying that something you are doing is conflicting with the person you want to be, the person you see yourself as, or the person that you believe yourself to be. You're doing something that's conflicting with your moral code or your social group. So it's really saying to us that you're doing something that needs to change. And the reason that we don't like to talk about it is because it is so directly involved in how we see ourselves. When we're behaving in a way, say I am going out and I'm engaging in risky sexual behavior, and I feel shame for that. Or I don't want to engage in sexual behavior, and I feel shame for that. The reason that shame is there is because it's saying you see yourself as this person, and you're doing things that contradict this person. So it feels awful, but it's so important because we need to listen to it, because then we need to figure out, why do I feel it? And the problem with shame is we misunderstand all shame as toxic shame. But actually there's two types of shame. There's healthy shame and there's toxic shame. And it's all about where we direct the shame. So say I engage in a behavior and it contradicts my religious beliefs. I might feel shame. Or maybe I'm not religious because I'm not personally religious, so I wouldn't feel shame for doing something that would contradict a religious belief. But say that I am. I've done something that contradicts directly my sense of self. And I have two options. I can self-direct it or I can behavior direct it. And when we self-direct it, that's where toxic shame comes in. So I can say, I did a bad thing, therefore I am a bad person. And that's where we self-direct it. Instead of focusing on the behavior was bad, I can change it. We go, I did a bad thing, therefore I am inherently bad. And when we say that I am bad, it leads us to think, well, I'm bad, I'm a failure, I'm flawed. And then we go down the route of, well, I'm unlovable. And if we think, well, I'm inherently these things, what is it going to do? Well, it's going to limit us wanting to change it. Because what's the point? If I'm the thing that's bad, why am I going to bother to change? What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get rid of my emotions instead of sitting with it and thinking, okay, well, the thing that I did was bad. How do I go about changing that? And how do I do something different?
That's really good. And, there's a part here that I'm thinking, I've had many doctors come on the show, and they, some of them say that as high as 80% of all disease in our bodies, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, the diseases are caused through unresolved emotions. And what you're saying right now is that, this shame will create a symptom maybe that we need to look at. So if you don't like the symptom, then it's time to look at that and see what's underlying that so that you can heal that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and the reason that shame is so hard to look at is because it really is related to our sense of self. So again, it's that really deep, I see myself this way, I hold these things really cool, and I've done something that contradicts it. I have a moral or a social compass and I've done something that contradicts it. Or I see myself as a strong person, and when I was put in this situation, I acted weak. Therefore, it completely contradicts our worldview and our view of ourselves. And that can be really ideologically shattering. And that makes us have to confront really hard truths. And I always say that we take our emotions too personally. So we behave weak and we feel this sense of failure and we go, well, I'm a weak person. We feel anger and go, I'm an angry person. We feel shame and go, I am bad. I am a failure. And what we need to do is recognize that they're separate. But shame, again, because it's that self-reflective, we need to dig a little bit deeper. And the problem is, usually when we do behave in ways that contradict our sense of self, the answer underneath it, what's causing that shame, is a really tough answer. So if I'm doing something like I'm taking drugs or I'm engaging again in risky sexual behavior or drinking behavior, and that's causing shame, for me to go underneath that and figure out what's causing the shame, I need to get to the root of my behavior. And maybe that's trauma. Maybe that's self-sabotage. Maybe that's things I'm carrying from previous relationships. And we can't heal that shame until we get through those things. So it's extremely difficult. It's not just as simple as going, oh, well, why do I feel this shame? Looking at behavior, go, oh, there we go. We pull a really easy answer out and go, okay, no more shame. It's a really tough process to figure out why we feel shame, because they are deep rooted. To sit down and really think about why you're doing the things you're doing that you wish you weren't doing, those answers that you find are tough answers. They're very, very confronting. And that is not an easy thing to go through. So we usually go, okay, well, let me avoid my emotions. And as you said about suppressed emotions, when we feel a tough emotion, we can do three things. Same with trauma. We can suppress it. So we go away. Every time it comes up, we go, no, no, no. We can escape it. So when it comes up, I can't focus on it. I'm too busy doing all these other things. I'm overworking. I'm in bad relationships. I'm doing these things that take up my time. Or we can have the third option, which is heal it. But heal it means feel it. And that's the tough bit, because suppressing and escaping means we get to avoid feeling. So they're usually the ways that we go. And then what happens is we're engaging in behaviors, we're disconnected with our sense of self. What's going to happen? We're going to keep engaging in more behaviors that create shame. And then we have piles and piles of shame stacking up. So we're further and further away from the root.
I love it. I love the way you just explained that. I know that when I woke up years ago, 1992, I was hearing this little voice that said, you got to feel the pain to make the change. And I love what you just said. You got to feel it to heal it. Because at the time I was involved in behaviors that I was doing everything I could not to feel anything, quite frankly. And that was driving myself in my conscious in ways that were really dysfunctional for my life. Yeah. So.
Yep. And if you do that for long enough, what happens is you go into what's called emotional suppression. And the prefrontal cortex is a really important region of the brain for processing emotions. And every time an emotion comes up, the brain is saying, hey, feel me. And when you suppress it, you go, no. And it's saying, hey, please feel me. You go, no, no, no. And if you do that for long enough, we go into this state where the brain goes, okay, well, what I'm going to do then is I'm really tired of trying to make you feel things you're not. So I'm going to shut down those parts of the brain. So it shuts down regions and reduces activity in parts of the brain responsible for emotional processing, which is why a lot of the time when you suppress your emotions, say you've gone through a trauma and you're not dealing with the emotions, you can lose a lot of the memory of that trauma because the brain is reducing activity in parts of the brain responsible for remembering the emotional aspects of that trauma.
Right.
Because we want to get rid of the negative emotions. But those same parts of the brain, and say the insula as well, which is really important for our sense of self, when we try and shut those down to reduce the negative emotions, we reduce all emotions. Because just like you can't spot reduce fat on the body when you're working out, you can't spot reduce negative emotions in the brain. It's all or nothing. Either you feel or you don't feel, you feel in intensities, or you go, no, I don't want to feel anything. So it goes, okay. So we start to feel numb. We start to feel really numb, and we get this sense of emptiness. And it's a really common thing for people after trauma and after really tough situations to go, I feel cold. I feel empty inside. And you get these spots of memory loss as well. And it's because the emotions and the memory relating to those events that we're not looking to feel.
Okay, this is a deep subject. Listen, I've got to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about then how do we shift it? Once we, a lot of people right now went through, let's say half the country went through a quote, I don't know if it's a trauma, but they went through challenges about who was elected in the country, right? And they were, some people are angry, some people sad, some people are shut down, some people are, there's a lot of things. So let's talk about if we, how to express that the right way so that we don't take on, so we don't shut down. And we're going to take a deeper dive into this. We'll be right back.
Do you suffer in pain? Are you stiff, tense, or less active than before? Introducing the Easy Well Remedy Massage System that combines the incredible effects of vibrational therapy, targeted deep tissue shiatsu massage, plus soothing infrared heat. A triple fusion of therapeutic experiences. Full body vibrational therapy increases blood circulation and reduces inflammation. Look at these beads moving from the powerful vibrational motors.
It's like 1,000 little fingers just vibrating my body from head to toe.
Infrared heat penetrates deep to reduce pain, soothe, and relax.
Remedy gets in there and helps deal with the source of the pain, so you feel much better.
The Ultra Shiatsu pillow with 6 infrared heated nodes mimics a professional massage. Plus, it's detachable for deep relief anywhere you need it.
It's just something that you're gonna have to feel for yourself.
Experience the true remedy for your pain and stiffness. Call now.
If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to tell you what your case is potentially worth. Hello, I'm Gina, along with spokesperson Rob. Rob, tell the folks at home who should be calling right now.
Well, just like you said, Gina, anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, give us a call right now, and we're going to let you know what your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Rob. So what kind of calls have we been seeing today?
Well, Gina, we're getting calls from all types of accidents today. Work accidents, slip and falls, truck accidents, and most commonly, car accidents. So if you were injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, take that first step, pick up that phone and give us a call. We're going to answer your questions, and we'll let you know how much money you can get for your accident.
Thanks, Rob. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Go ahead, don't hesitate, take that first step and call now.
Call 800-455-2790.
Have you ever felt leg pain, restlessness, cramps, tingling, swelling, numbness, itchiness, or coldness? Then you need the new, clinically proven Legzercise Pro, the natural circulation booster that uses continuous automatic leg movement to soothe pain and promote healthy circulation the natural drug-free way.
After using Legzercise for a week, I felt like I wanted to go for a walk again without pain like I used to.
Legzercise Pro's patented walking simulator propulsion technology moves your feet back and forth along its concave track, creating constant movement and flex at both the knee and ankle joints. It's like having a physical therapist right in your own home.
It's helped with the swelling and the pain. The tingling feeling is gone.
Call right now and order your very own Legzercise Pro, the clinically proven automatic leg mover that soothes pain and naturally promotes healthy circulation. Call now.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Ken D Foster, and I'm talking with Dr. Abbie Marono. She's a PhD. She's a scientist, and we're talking about her new book, which is out there, and also the feelings of shame. So, if you just joined us, her new book is Work in Progress, and you can get that on Amazon. You can get that at anywhere that books are sold. Abbie, all right. A lot of people gone through a lot of challenges after the election and that type of thing. How does this relate to shame and what we're talking about here?
Well, with the election, I wouldn't say it's so much shame, it's more disappointment. Now, our negative emotions can be quite hard to separate from each other sometimes. So we can find guilt really difficult to separate from shame, and disappointment to separate as well. And what we need to think about is it fleeting? So emotions come and go. And most emotions, they go, they fleet, you feel them and then you can walk off, and it doesn't change how you see yourself. If the emotion is changing how you see yourself, and it's instead of just feeling negative, you feel negative not just about the situation. So disappointment is very situational based, whereas shame is self-based.
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily feel shame about a place. You can feel disappointed about a place, and you can feel shame about a situation, but it's more about your sense of self in that situation. So when it comes to the election, I would say the feelings that people are feeling that on the negative side are most likely to be around maybe guilt for not doing enough or not being louder with their voice, and more disappointment than shame.
Interesting. Yeah, because there are some people, some women shaving their heads, movie stars, quote, leaving the country, things like that. I'm thinking the country's been around for 200 years. The country's going to continue on whether you're here or not. Why would you want to self-destruct in that way yourself? And
yeah. So these issues can bring up deeper rooted problems. So when we take a situation like this that is really not in our control, and then we make it reflect something about ourselves, and we take this huge personal change, maybe I'm going to shave my head. What actually is happening is this has triggered something, and it's not really about the election at all. It's just triggered something that has made me realize something about myself. And usually it's something unhealed. Where we take situations out of our control that personally, there's usually a much more deeper rooted issue that needs to be explored.
I love where you're going with this, because we're really talking about getting more and more self-reflective and really tuning into our emotions, really tuning into how we're going through life. Maybe noticing, some people, we skated around it, but, some people use drugs or alcohol to feel better about themselves or not to deal with the situation. Some people use food, some people use sex, some people use the internet. So it's really about when you're starting to feel those like, oh, I can't handle this anymore. I can't do this. Or whatever your mind is telling you, what you're saying to us is that that's the time to maybe stop and self-reflect and see what's going on. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and I think a lot of the reasons why we don't self-reflect, and all of us say, I want to be self-reflective and I want to grow, I want to heal, but we have a lot of misconceptions about what that means. And we have a few misconceptions around, well, if I'm shame-free, I'm bulletproof. I don't care what people think about me. And that's completely untrue. That is just not how human beings work at all. The part of our brain that processes physical pain also processes social pain. Meaning, if I'm rejected from a social group, my brain feels it like physical pain. That's why we have things like heartbreak disorder, where we get that feeling in our gut when there's something wrong. We are an interconnected being. And when we have these misconceptions about, well, being empowered and being healthy and growing means being bulletproof and completely shame-free and not caring what people think, it gives us these incorrect ideas of what healing looks like. So if we're in our healing process and we're healing in a very healthy way, but we go, oh, well, I still care what people think, I'm still struggling with other people's opinions, and we go, well, that means I'm failing in my healing. So we feel more shame. And actually, it's so normal to care what people think about you. It's human. So that's one issue. And then the other issue is when we think about self-reflection, what do we see? We see someone doing yoga on a mountain. We see someone reading a book, and there's flowers and roses, and they're sat under a tree, and there's lilies growing, and it's all wonderful and beautiful, and it's so delicate and nice. And that is just not the reality of healing. And that is not the reality of self-reflection. Actually, self-reflection is those moments where you're crying and you don't know why you're crying, or you wish you could cry and you can't. It's those moments where you feel pure anger and you have to sit and let it overwhelm you to figure out where it's coming from. Self-reflection is hard, it is messy, and it's also not linear. You can start growing and you think, okay, well, I'm going to keep getting better. And again, that's not reality because emotions aren't linear. You can go up, you go down, you can care 1 minute, not care 1 minute, feel great, and then not great because that's just the nature of it. And we have these misconceptions. And when our healing and our self-reflecting isn't matching what we believe that it should, we feel more shame because we feel like, well, I'm even failing in my self-reflection. I'm failing in my healing. And what we need to be doing is going, no, it hurts. I remember in my healing, I went through a phase, and what got me through it was the knowledge of how healing actually looks from a science perspective, because I was able to speak to myself in the right way. So when the emotions were coming over me, I knew from the empirical literature, this is actually very normal. And it makes you feel like you are the only person in the world that understands that feeling, and you feel alone. When you understand emotions and the science of emotions, you can recognize this is normal. And I was going through a really, really difficult time. And every single day I would wake up and I would be miserable. And I said this one thing to myself. I took the fake it till you make it, but I kind of flipped it on its head. Because when we say fake it till you make it, often we're suppressing our emotions. And what I said to myself is, I'm going to fake it till I make it, but I mean, I'm going to feel the emotion, fake the behavior, because our emotions lie to us. I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. every morning, and I'm going to feel that emotion of misery and wanting to stay in bed. I feel it. I will let it consume me, but I won't let it consume my behavior. I'll fake the behavior. I'll get up anyway. But my emotions say, hey, don't go to the gym. I'll feel it, but I won't let it control it.
You know, I think there's another piece to the self-reflection. I just want to throw that in there too. I think one of the reasons a lot of people don't self-reflect is they don't have the habit of self-reflecting, and habits are really an important piece. And one of the things that I know that I recommend to my clients is that at the end of the day, to just ask yourself, like 3 simple questions. You can design those questions any way you want, but what worked today, what didn't work today, and what can I do to improve tomorrow? Or how did I feel today? What didn't I feel today? And what would I like to feel tomorrow? So we could start to use the power of question to introspect. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's like, imagine we have all these thoughts.
We're going to take a look. So pause that, because I want to go down that rabbit hole of self-talk and the critical talk. I think this is a really important piece. We'll be right back.
What?
Do you suffer in pain? Are you stiff, tense, or less active than before? Introducing the Easy Well Remedy Massage System that combines the incredible effects of vibrational therapy, targeted deep tissue shiatsu massage, plus soothing infrared heat. A triple fusion of therapeutic experiences. Full body vibrational therapy increases blood circulation and reduces inflammation. Look at these beads moving from the powerful vibrational motors.
It's like 1,000 little fingers just vibrating my body from head to toe.
Infrared heat penetrates deep to reduce pain, soothe, and relax.
Remedy gets in there and helps deal with the source of the pain, so you feel much better.
The Ultra Shiatsu pillow with 6 infrared heated nodes mimics a professional massage. Plus, it's detachable for deep relief anywhere you need it.
It's just something that you're gonna have to feel for yourself.
Experience the true remedy for your pain and stiffness. Call now.
If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to tell you what your case is potentially worth. Hello, I'm Gina, along with spokesperson Rob. Rob, tell the folks at home who should be calling right now.
Well, just like you said, Gina, anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, give us a call right now, and we're going to let you know what your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Rob. So what kind of calls have we been seeing today?
Well, Gina, we're getting calls from all types of accidents today. Work accidents, slip and falls, truck accidents, and most commonly, car accidents. So if you were injured in an accident that was not your fault, you don't have an attorney, take that first step, pick up that phone and give us a call. We're going to answer your questions and we'll let you know how much money you can get for your accident.
Thanks, Rob. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Go ahead, don't hesitate, take that first step and call now.
Call 800-455-2790.
Have you ever felt leg pain, restlessness, cramps, tingling, swelling, numbness, itchiness, or coldness? Then you need the new, clinically proven Legzercise Pro, the natural circulation booster that uses continuous automatic leg movement to soothe pain and promote healthy circulation the natural drug-free way.
After using Legzercise for a week, I felt like I wanted to go for a walk again without pain like I used to.
Legzercise Pro's patented walking simulator propulsion technology moves your feet back and forth along its concave track, creating constant movement and flex at both the knee and ankle joints. It's like having a physical therapist right in your own home.
It's helped with the swelling and the pain. The tingling feeling is gone.
Call right now and order your very own Legzercise Pro, the clinically proven automatic leg mover that soothes pain and naturally promotes healthy circulation. Call now.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Ken D Foster. You've joined the Heal It Show with myself and Dr. Abbie Marono. Abbie, okay, this piece about self-reflection and self-talk, I think that also goes into how do we define when we're empowered and not empowered. But let's talk with start with that self-talk piece. How important is that, and what do you recommend?
Well, it's so important because we don't realize that the way we speak to ourselves affects our hormonal response pattern. So when we say to ourselves, you're not good enough, you can't do it. Say I get an opportunity at work and I go, oh, well, I'm not smart enough for this. I don't have the ability. When we speak to ourselves negatively, we increase the stress hormone cortisol. And cortisol can reduce critical thinking. It blocks our ability to think as critically. And it can also create things like muscle tightness and stiffness and a lack of motivation and clogged thinking. So when we say, I can't do this, you're not good enough, when we then go to try and do something, we're going to have a reduced ability. If we flip that on its head and we say to ourselves, actually, you are good enough. You can do this. You can get through this. You're strong. Cortisol isn't increased. So we can reduce that stress hormone. And when we say to ourselves, you've got this, you can do this, when we do that over time, it increases activation in our reward pathways. So it feels rewarding to start speaking kindly to ourselves. And that increases things like serotonin and dopamine. So we start to feel more neurologically positive. And when we have those chemicals inside of us, we feel more like I can do this. So we're actually more likely to go out and achieve things more successfully. And I want to touch on what you said about habit because it's so important. We've got to think about our mental health the same as our physical health. If I'm not in shape and I want to go get in shape and I go to the gym once and I do a 5-hour session, I'm not going to be in shape. If I want to work on my mental health and I sit down and self-reflect once and do a whole day of self-care and self-reflection, I'm not instantly going to have great mental health. If I want to have good physical health, I consistently go to the gym. I consistently eat right. If I want good mental health, I consistently talk to myself kindly. I consistently engage in behaviors that increase those positive neurotransmitters. I want to increase serotonin. I want to do things that create natural dopamine. I want to do things that make me feel good, and I want to stop doing things that make me feel bad. And that sounds like a really easy formula, but it is a really hard formula.
But, it's, like you said, it's a habit. Like, I'll wake up in the morning. My first thing I do is I open up and I go to the gratitude, appreciation of what I have. I start my day. And I might say something like, today's a great day to be alive in Surprise. That's where I'm living right now, Surprise, Arizona. Or I might say, you know what? Today, I'm choosing to be filled with love and joy and happiness, and that's who I am today. It's that self-talk that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And in most people, I don't think talk to themselves that way, or they might even be embarrassed to talk to themselves that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people are really, really hard on themselves. We set this standard for other people and give them leniency and compassion, but when it comes to us, it's a completely different story. And that's something that I have really struggled with. And it took me a long time to figure out why. And a lot of the time, why we do it is because that's how we've learned to talk to ourselves through our parents. And I'm
at that piece where we're shitting on ourselves. You should do this. You must do that. You have to do that. And you hear that voice in your head and you're like, why should I do that?
Yep. And there's such impossible standards too. So it doesn't matter what you do, whether you're a man or a woman, there's really strict, gender standards for what you should be. If you're a mum or a dad, there's standards for what you should do. If you're a businesswoman or a businessman, there's standards for what you should do. You look online now, this is what success means. You have to do these to be successful. So we're constantly bombarded with, this is the kind of person you need to be like. And if you're not, you're failing.
There's, I know when I was healing my own shame, what came up for me was I always felt less than or more than other people, and it would go back and forth. I'd have my ego and I'd be better than you. And then I'd come home and I feel less than everybody in the whole world. And that would flip-flop that thing until at one point I thought, I got to heal this, right? How do I heal that? And I had the way that I heal it. But when somebody's feeling that, what would you suggest to them?
Well, there's always a root cause. So it starts with saying, okay, well, first I need to understand my behavior. So look at your life and say, what is it that I'm doing that I don't like that I'm doing? And then you take those things and then you try and understand, okay, well, what could be driving me to do those things? And it's a really simple formula of what don't I like, and let me figure out why. But just this first step is really hard because it takes a lot of self-awareness, and we're very self-deceptive. So if we're doing things we don't like, it's really easy to say, well, I had to do this. Oh, well, I did this for this reason. Or I wouldn't have done this if not for this. And to actually just put our ego to the side and say, okay, look, I'm doing things that I wish I wasn't. Let me just sit down with them. And then we really need to recognize if we are focusing on the self instead of behavior. So say I failed a test and I say instead of the behavior was a failure, I failed the test. What I might be doing is going, because I failed the test, I am a failure. And it's so common for the arrow to go to behavior and then to self.
So we're personalizing it. We're personalizing it.
Emotion.
Doesn't this take, this sense of self? I think, it seems like we have kind of an identity crisis in the world. People think that they are their houses, their cars, their girlfriends, their clothes they wear. It's that identity that this is who I am. How do we get to that sense of self to know what that is, right?
That's such a great question. And I love this question because we have a couple of misconceptions about the self. We have this idea that we have a self that is unchanging and we need to figure out who we are.
Right.
I need to go deep and figure out who is it that I am underneath. And we also have this idea of this is who I should be. So this is the self that I'm going to try and merge myself into. And that causes problems because it doesn't always align with who we want to be and who we feel that we are. And the reality of it is the self is ever changing. Of course it is. It has to be because life continues. You might think, I know exactly who I am and be so happy and feel empowered, but you're not done. That's why I called it work in progress. Because say you go through a trauma or say you lose a job or say nothing actually happens, you just start to feel stuck in your life. It's because the world changes. You can go through the worst day of your life or the best day of your life, and the world will not stop. It's changing. So instead of thinking, well, how do I dig and find myself? It's not quite like that. It's, well, who do I want to create? And as I'm figuring out who I want to create, I then go through and think, oh, how do my emotions feel when I do these things? Because we might say this is the person I want to create, but it's actually based on who we think we should. And then it becomes really complicated of how do I know if I'm building this self because it's who I really want or who I think I should? And that's where that self-reflection and self-awareness comes in of, as we're changing and growing, we need to listen to how we're feeling about our behavior. If I do something, do I feel discomfort? If I'm around people, do I feel comfort or discomfort? Do I feel that I'm motivated? Do I feel passionate? And we use those things to really help guide it with this awareness of, just because you have done a bad thing doesn't mean you're a bad person. Bad people do bad things and good things. Good people do good things and bad things. The thing is, we choose to change. We have to stop letting our past behaviors define who we think that we are and who we think we can be.
And that's such a deep subject that I love that you wrote the book, because I think a lot of people, there's science in all of this too. This isn't just Abbie talking about what her opinions are. She's done the research, she's done the science of this, and looked at the neuroscience between, like we were talking about, self-talk and, serotonin and releasing endorphins. That's all measurable. And that's, and so she's done the heavy dive in that. So work in progress. When I walk away from the book, when I've finished that book, what am I going to know? What am I going to know?
Hopefully you understand how to regulate your own emotions, because I didn't want to write a book that was situationally based. Say you go through something and then it's a step-by-step healing. What I wanted to do is give people a way that they could understand themselves. So anything they go through, they can take this understanding to that situation. I wanted people to understand the science of emotions, that emotions are signals. How do I interpret that signal? How do I listen to it? How do I differentiate a gut feeling from a trauma response? I wanted to give people that understanding. So I wanted them to not have, like I said, a step-by-step guide, but it's really just a toolkit of emotional regulation. And
I like the concept of having a witness consciousness. Well, we are observing ourselves going through life. We're observing our emotions. We're feeling our emotions, but we're not the emotions. We're not the world is more of a dream, and we're in the dream, creating the dream, moving through the dream. And it just seems that's a good way to start to become very mindful and very self-observant, so that we can actually change and grow and develop and heal and evolve ourselves and our consciousness. And Abbie, you've done a great job with this. I love this conversation. I can't imagine anybody that's listening to this show not going and picking up your book. I can't imagine that. So I know that's it's something I'm going to pick up myself. I'm going to get that book. That's an amazing book. And I think you've really taken a deep dive in it. At the end of this, let's just talk. We only got about a couple minutes here. When somebody can heal their shame, what happens? What happens?
Yeah. When we start to heal our shame, we feel empowered, because empowerment is really hard to define. But for me, the definition of empowerment is self-understanding and self-acceptance. And when we feel that, it's not that we feel impenetrable. I call it bouncy, not bulletproof, because it's all about emotional resilience. It's not, I'm never going to be hurt by anything. I'm never going to fall down. I'm never going to be affected by people's comments. That's not the reality. What I wanted to give people is the ability to work through their emotions to become bouncy. So you're still human. Things still get to you. But you know what you can do with this book? Instead of staying on the ground, you get up. You learn how to stop taking things so personally. Still keep that human element. You're not cold. You're feeling. But you get up. You're bouncy. You're able to kind of brush things off, pick yourself back up, and get on and be the best version of yourself. Because if we don't understand our emotions, we can't heal them. We can't remedy something we don't understand.
Well, I love it. And I believe that just speak for myself and thousands of clients I've worked with that have issues similar to this, and that they feel they have more energy. They are more productive. They are more efficient in their lives.
Yes.
They don't need as much sleep. Like you said about the brain and what the brain is keeping track of and using all that energy up. As soon as we can release this, the brain is like, it's not using all that energy up. We have more energy. So I'm excited for my audience.
Yeah.
I'm excited for my audience to get your book and be able to heal the shame that's in their lives. And, we didn't take a deep dive in how shame shows up in the obesity problem in the world, but I can guarantee it's a big part of that. So, Abbie, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. And thank you. Thank you so much. And all of you, I want to thank you for joining us today on the Heal It Show. Please pass this on to your friends and family. That's how we help one another to heal whatever's going on in our life. Take care.